News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Well, here's what I want to get into right away. Actually, let me play one thing for you. Just all these things that we gather throughout the day, little and big. Here is a quick cut from a black man on the streets of Michigan. Listen to what he says.
I've heard so much about Trump being angry and he's a fascist and a dictator, but problem is when I listen to him, I don't hear any of that.
So this is a guy in Michigan interviewed by MSNBC on the streets, and it's just not working. He's a black man, and he's in Michigan. That's exactly what Kamala needs, and the numbers are very bad for her as a Democrat at the head of the ticket with black men. And it's just not working, is it? Okay, I want to tell you some of the success, and then we have to give the caveats. And I want to hear from you, though, too, right now. At 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. What do you think are Trump's chances of winning today, right now? What do you think could still screw it up? And what are Kamala's chances of winning? Why are they seemingly diminishing? And do you see the race breaking towards anyone, breaking in anyone's favor? Does it look like it's starting to tilt towards Trump or Kamala right now and trending towards Trump or Kamala? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. What are you seeing or hearing that makes you think it's more likely going to be Trump or Kamala? First, I'll give you the bad news. How about that? I never do that, but I'm going to do the bad news first. One of my colleagues looked at me with almost a frown face, like, I don't need the bad. The bad news is, yes, no crying. We don't do any crying in this room. None whatsoever, okay? Where are we? There we go.
Stop whining.
There we go. Okay, the bad news is nobody really knows. Pollsters today, I listen to, one of the most important things I listen to every day is a quick 5-minute segment, maybe 8 minutes, with Brett Baer and his panel of mostly, moderate news type people, but also you get the people in there that are definitely on our side or on the other side, and that's cool too. But it's a very telling panel that he has towards the end of every show, Monday through Friday on his show. And today you heard two different folks. One who was totally thinking it was going to be Kamala. And then you had Alex Castellanos, who I swear to you, this guy is, I like him a lot, and I really listen to him closely. For some reason, he just has always been that way. And he's not some big Trump fan in any way, shape, or form. And he said the attack, because the lady on the panel today said that the attack on Puerto Ricans from that stupid comedian at the Trump rally yesterday could hurt him, that sliver, small percentage of Hispanics that might turn away. Alex Castellanos said, for example, that's literally the only thing they got right now that might hurt his momentum. And Alex Castellanos said, when people can't buy groceries, when people can't afford to live anymore, basic necessities, they don't care about a joke about Puerto Rico. And I think that's very apropos. But the real truth is, and my buddy Eric Erickson said this today, and I really respect his opinion. He's one of the only bloggers I really subscribe to and follow every day. And he said that Trump could win the popular vote but lose. That this is still Trump's race to lose, and it still could go either way. And it's a caveat that we must tell ourselves that. And it's not to scare, it's not to make you go vote, it's the truth. The truth is we still could lose. And so we must, I've been one of the biggest cheerleaders and positive advocates, but today I got a little hint that maybe somehow we're not going to win. And I'm sensing some overconfidence and some sense of that we're going to win no matter what. We're going to win right now. And there's still 7 days as of midnight. And one thing can happen tomorrow or the next day or in 4 days that could destroy our momentum and kill that last percentage of the vote that hasn't gone yet. Now the good news. The good news is we continue to see everything staying the same or moving positive like it has been for 2 weeks now. The month of October was a disaster for Kamala. It really was. It was bad. That's when Trump took back the race and then became in the lead. And what thank God there's only a week left. but it needs to keep trending in the way it's been trending to slam this door shut hard on her. Well, we could win. The good news is we could win all the blue walls states, and we could actually have over 300 delegates. The good news is we might win the popular vote and go over 300 delegates this time. The good news is Kamala could get a big butted whooping, a can of whoop butt. I'll try to be nice about how I use my language. The good news is that New Hampshire, a poll that just came out today, shows that it might turn red after all in New Hampshire, which nobody's campaigning, and Kamala and Trump have not campaigned in New Hampshire much at all, if any. And a brand new poll that just shows Trump is ahead of Harris in New Hampshire by almost a half point, 0.4 percentage points, 0.4, 50.2 to 49.8. In the 26th election right now, Hillary was up 0.3. And in 2016, in 2020, Biden was up 7.34 over Trump. Today, Trump is ahead by almost a half point. Pretty remarkable, huh? I don't know how many electoral college votes that they get, but that might make it the winning decision, right? A strange win from out of nowhere could make it a handy one. The good news is that in Nevada, Republicans are still in the lead for early voting. You have to understand. First, it was a day or two. Then it was 3 days. It was still like, guys, it's got to go on for several more days to be like, oh my gosh, it's still doing that. We're still there. That's insane. Producer Charlie, look up what's the state of Nevada's, how many electoral college votes do they get? I'm going to guess 5 to 10. Maybe we'll say 7 or 8 delegates. So, okay, 6. You already got it for me? Okay, 6. 6 delegates. We got it. 6 delegates. All right. There was my guess. 5 to 10, probably 7. Well, 6. That could clinch it. It could be a combination of winners in the blue wall, some Trump, some her, and then that extra 6 clinches it. We don't know. But Nevada has never been in the possibilities for him. And people that said it last time were dead wrong. Lines wide open, chiming right now. What are Trump's chances of winning? And what could still screw it up? And what do you think are Kamala's chances of winning? And why are they seemingly diminishing? I'm going to tell you why they're seemingly diminishing. Coming up in 2 minutes at 9:15 on the Chris Crock Show. And do you see the race breaking towards anyone's favor? Like, it's still going this way or that way, or is it moving? Oh, and by the way, a brand new poll on Wisconsin. And I'm going to read you the latest from the Real Clear Politics average of all polls. It's about 11 polls, in the individual swing states and overall. Coming up next, but a brand new USA Today Suffolk University poll on Wisconsin, and you'll find out if Trump is actually leading still or what. And then the big tech CEOs. Who are they calling up right now, Kamala or Trump? The big tech CEOs, who are they picking up the phone and calling to rekindle relationships ahead of the election day, which shows they think so-and-so is going to win? And how a splintered left, this is in today's Wall Street Journal, how a splintered left is preparing for a possible Trump victory. Oh, can they accept a Trump victory? Will Kamala actually sign off as she's supposed to do as her VP presidential or vice presidential duties as the head of the Senate? Will she actually certify and sign off? Is the left going to riot insanely worse than they did during the St. George Floyd riots? Blessed be his name. When he died from fentanyl. Take, by the way, a moment of silence for St. George fentanyl. Blessed be his name. I'm still working hard to get that statue of him robbing the pregnant lady in Houston he was convicted of, putting a gun to her belly, saying he'd kill them both. I'm working hard to get that statue in the middle of Dallas. Donations, I'm taking them. Come on, we can do this. All right, that's coming up in 2 minutes at 9:17 on the Chris Crock Show. On News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Lines wide open, 800-288-WBAP. And then also coming up next, look what they think of you. You are simply going to be floored at the 2 new Democrat ads they dropped. And I got to tell you that, that's the question. What do they think of you when you hear these things? I'll play them for you. We'll talk about it. It's shocking and off-putting. I'll tell you that. That is next on the Chris Crock Show as well at 17 after the hour on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-WBAP is our number. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP. Okay, I want you to hear this ad that came out over the weekend. I chose to pull out the part. What happens is you immediately come. This commercial starts with a guy masturbating, looking at pornography on his phone, and you got the comforter over the privates, and it's moving like he's acting and it's moving like he's masturbating, and then I'm describing this because you're not going to hear some of it because I made a decision. I'll just tell you what happened. She's moaning. As in the middle of sex, like big time, for like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seconds. Like it's totally gratuitous. And this is an official ad for Kamala, by the way. I'm going to play it for you in a second. They're going to play the crap out of this apparently in swing states. And then some guy he looks up and all of a sudden some guy appears and he's in a suit and tie, and it's a white guy who they say is a Republican congressman who insists he's going to sit there and watch the porn and not let him finish. And that's what Republicans are going to do to you if you're a guy. This is how they're trying to recruit you. I'm going to play this. Now, you're not going to hear the moaning. I chose to get that cut out because I'm not going to play gratuitous sexual moaning on the show because that's just not appropriate for me to play, in my opinion. So here it is without the moaning, which happens towards the very beginning for several seconds. So just when you hear this, that's cut out towards the very, very beginning. Okay, here we go.
Oh! Sorry, you can't do that.
What the hell, man? How'd you get in here?
I'm your Republican Congressman. Now that we're in charge, we're banning porn nationwide.
You can't tell me what to do. Get out of my bedroom, you creep.
I won the last election, so it's my decision. I'm just going to watch and make sure you don't finish illegally.
That's their ad. And that's a serious ad. That's not some kind of a joke. And it's for supposedly to encourage men to vote for Kamala Harris. And so look what they think of you. You have people in the Democrat Party portraying you as masturbating and Republicans stopping you from finishing off. You have Kamala saying that black men, all they want to do is smoke weed. So she says, I'll legalize weed, and they can't do anything without welfare checks. So I'll give you $20,000 welfare checks for your so-called business. So look at what they think of you. Look what they think of us men. What are the Democrats saying here about how they view men and black men? And is this a message that may get more men to vote for her, or will it backfire? 800-288-WBAP is our number. Line's wide open. Chime in right now. 800-288-9227. Look what they think of you is what is my thrust on this. And what do you think the Democrats are saying here about how they view men and black men? And is this the type of message that could get more men to vote for her, or will it backfire? 800-288-WBAP is our number. This is so gross and disgusting and stupid. I don't see how this could work. And it's like saying, well, so what the message is from Kamala and her team and Democrats is all black men smoke weed all day and need welfare checks to sustain themselves. And all white guys are incels and they stay at home, pleasure themselves to pornography. And the Republicans are going to come into your loser bedroom and they're going to stop you from your loser masturbation. They're deeply thinking about you and doing private things that are untoward, or what. I don't care what your opinion on that. I'm just saying this is really a sick view of us, a sick view of anything, isn't it? Isn't this a sick view? Who would think this is possibly gonna make you want to vote for them? Who would think? Why would you think like this? What are these people thinking? You know what this tells me? They don't freaking know what they don't know us at all. They don't know anything. They think, here's some weed, here's a welfare check. You guys over there sit at home and rough up your suspects all day. That's all you are. That's all we are to them. We're a formula here. This guy is a drug addict and needs welfare checks. This guy has no ability to meet and be with women. He stays at home, pleasuring himself. I mean, look what they look like. Look at how they look at people. Yeah. And it's sad as I sit here and think about it. It's sad for women because all they do is talk about, kill the baby, kill the baby, kill the baby. And, men shouldn't be the head of your household, and men are horrible, and men have rage, and all these other things. What a bastardized way of looking at people, huh? And by the way, is that attracting you to vote for them? Is that like a sweet nectar that you'd love to go taste? Or is this something that's like, what? Like, for example, Dr. Phil, by the way, do you know Dr. Phil spoke at last night's Madison Square Garden for Trump? Yeah, it's like Dr. Phil. I know what he says about this.
What the hell are you thinking?
So, my goodness. Coming up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3, we find out that Kamala actually did do things. She actually did do some things when she was the vice president, which she still is, even though she doesn't want you to know that. She did do things. And I think when you find out what she was doing work behind the scenes, where you find out what she did and the position she had and what she made a priority on day one, she literally sat down and did these very important things to her. And I think this is going to show you how this woman thinks, how she leads, and what she will do if she gets elected. And this is from the New York Times, by the way. This is as leftist as it gets, the New York Times. And the headline is, the policy record Harris isn't talking about. And it has, it's bad. I'm going to share that with you coming up at 33 minutes after the hour. And I have a bonus of her saying these things that she doesn't want you to hear. And we're going to tie that into another piece that talks about how this priority she had that she quietly did and doesn't want you to know about, according to the New York Times, how that is destroying our military. All that is next to the Chris Crock Show, 33 minutes after the hour on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-9227. That's 800-288-WBAP. Well, this is something else. The New York Times report, not DEI, stand by. That's coming up in a moment. But the New York Times report says this: the policy record Kamala Harris isn't talking about. See, it turns out she did do something during her vice presidency. You just don't hear about it because she doesn't want you to know about it. Here's the New York Times in a report that came out today. Paging through, this is on one of her first actions. The first thing she did, what's her number one priority? Paging through intelligence report just weeks after she was sworn in as vice president, Kamala Harris was struck by the way two female foreign leaders were described. The reports used adjectives that, in her view, were rarely used to describe male leaders. Ms. Harris, the first woman to hold her office, ordered up a review that scrutinized multiple years of briefing reports from various intelligence agencies looking for possible gender bias. She was working for us. She had a priority. The number one priority, as soon as she got in, was to look for possible gender bias in intelligence documents. That's what her number one priority was. You know, people say my first day in office, like Trump, I'm going to shut down the border. He says, right? We're going to round up all the illegals. We're going to deport them. On the first day of business, we're going to immediately drill, baby, drill. On the first day of business, we're going to immediately attack inflation and grocery prices by pumping oil, by deregulating. What's Kamala Harris' first thing she does? I'm going to get in and review every document to see if there's any politically incorrect bias, if there's any bias in there. Continuing on, Ms. Harris, the first woman to hold her office, ordered up a review that scrutinized multiple years of briefing reports from various intelligence agencies, the New York Times reports, looking for possible gender bias. The study found some questionable word choices, but no widespread pattern, according to a senior intelligence official, one of five who requested anonymity to discuss this review. The intelligence people are saying, dude, when the first thing she got in was she wants to look what they're calling women and men. Not are we safe? Not are our enemies coming up on us? Not how can I keep Americans safe? But what are our agencies, what kind of language are they using that might be offensive to me? That's very dangerous, isn't it? To not be focused on our protection, our safety, but instead to be worried about what words we're using to describe women and men. That's her priority. That's the first thing she did in office. And the New York Times is right. She doesn't want you knowing about her policy in this regard. She won't speak to it. She's hiding it. Still, the exercise had a hard impact. Intelligence officials added a new training class for analysts on how to judge and assess female foreign leaders. Can you believe this? This is what this woman will do. She will not help us be stronger. She will not help us to be protectors. She will try to change the way we talk about each other. And the language, she's not worried about protecting us. She's worried about what we're saying. And that literally is should be disqualifying. And let me play some audio of her. She will not use the term radical Islamic terror. She will not use the term illegal alien. Here she is in a mosque in California saying, don't use those terms.
You must have the courage to object when they use that term. Radical Islamic terrorism, which ignores how Muslims have overwhelmingly been the greatest victims of terror. And we must.
You hear that? Radical Islamists or Islamic people are the greatest victims of terror. We will not use radical Islamic terror. Okay, here we go.
Also have the courage to reject that term illegal alien. I have seen some of the worst of criminal behavior. I have seen the worst of crime. An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
All right, so there you go, guys. That's what she's concerned about. Language and what we call each other. Not stopping terrorism, not stopping illegal immigration and keeping terrorists and illegal criminals and Trinidad Agua violent gang members out. So here's my questions for you. And by the way, here's from the New York Times. I'm gonna get more, not the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal editorial today. DEI, or over the weekend, DEI is crushing military recruitment. Now, a YouGov survey of 2,100 veterans shows, the Wall Street Journal says, our data shows the share of veterans recommending military service plunged 20 percentage points in 5 years to just 62%. Can you believe this? In 5 years, we have lost 20 percentage points in how many people we are recommending service that are veterans. 20% plunging in recommending it. Why? More than 80% of the veterans, Wall Street Journal says, who wouldn't recommend service cited mistrust of political leadership as a major factor. More generally, a large section of the veteran community believes the military has lost its mission focus. So, that's the wokeness that Kamala Harris is. And so I want to ask you a few questions on this. Number one, how would this kind of focus protect us compared to a Trump presidency? When this is your first priority, DEI stuff, how would this kind of focus protect us from compared to a Trump presidency? Would it? Or would it endanger us further? And does DEI make our military and other protectors stronger or weaker? And is this kind of environment good for recruiting for our military and other protectors? Many of our veterans have gone through this kind of crap. And I want to hear from you, whether you are active or retired. Veterans, what are you telling your kids? Because they talk about this. Like most of the military comes from the family. You know what I mean? Generation after generation serves. What are you telling your kids and your grandkids and their friends who are thinking about joining. Are you discouraging them because of this woke military under the policies of former President Hussein Obama and now Kamala and Joe? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. 800-288-WBAP, lines wide open. Chime in right now. I want to also, coming up next, share with you a lot more on this as far as the military, and what's happening is a lot of family members that are in it or are retired from it are saying don't join it to their sons, their daughters, to their sons or daughters' friends, and that should really concern you because you've seen these drag guys wearing their uniform and then spinning around and turning into a drag queen on the social media posts and stuff. That stuff is promoted. It's everywhere. And all this other garbage. It even was going on. I remember Major Nidal Hassan at Fort Hood when he shot and killed a whole, 14 or 21 of our soldiers who aren't allowed to be armed on the bases. And he had massive red flags when he was teaching stuff, or not teaching, but he was doing presentations, and he was talking about how he was a fan of the terrorists in his presentations, and everybody's like, and nobody stopped him because our military likes diversity, equity, and inclusion, and it's killing it. 800-288-WBAP is our number. Your call coming up next, as well as more details on this, how DEI is literally crushing military recruitment. And this is exactly the top priority of Kamala that she doesn't want you to know about, according to the New York Times. Veterans, what are you telling your kids and their friends who are thinking about joining? And is this kind of an environment good for recruiting for our military and other protectors? Think about the Secret Service. DEI is maybe one of the very reasons why Trump almost died. So does DEI make our military and other protectors stronger or weaker? And how would this kind of a focus, which is clearly one of Kamala's top focuses, how would that protect us compared to Trump being in the presidency? And is this a good recruiting environment for our military and other protectors, police, firefighters, Secret Service, FBI? Because that's all that people like Kamala are obsessed with, and that's all they're doing under this administration. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. 4 lines open. Brooke in Frisco. We'll pop you on real fast. Brooks, you are on WBAP. What's up?
Hi. So I just heard, I saw a video the other day of RFK stating why he left the Democratic Party, or one of the reasons why. They have made a law to where you cannot protest the elections, or the military can actually kill you.
Kill you? That's what JFK, RFK Jr. claims?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I don't know.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy. So what do you think? Do you think this DEI, I mean, can you believe it? The first priority of Kamala when she got the vice president and got in the office was to hunt down any words that were offensive to her. Isn't that insane in the intelligence community? Isn't that insane? Isn't that frightening? We'll be people will be getting killed and she'll be worried about how they're communicating they're getting killed.
Yeah, exactly.
I always have said DEI means you got a DIE when it comes to this. You're going to die. DEI kills people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Die for diversity.
Yeah.
I appreciate your call, bro.
My question is,
go ahead.
Why did they make that law? Because that.
Go ahead. Sorry, that was some.
My question. Oh, that's okay. My question is, why did they make that law? Apparently, they're planning on cheating again, and I keep hearing in the news that they're running neck and neck. I don't see how that's possible.
Oh,
I think they're lying.
Well, what do you mean? You think you don't see how it's
How
possible?
are they running neck and neck? Like, Trump is way more popular than her. She has to pay people. She paid Beyonce $10 million to get there and speak for 3 minutes.
I did read that today. Yeah, so she paid her $10 million to show up, and then they got booed because Beyonce didn't perform, and she intentionally apparently made it seem like Beyonce was going to perform.
The question is, if she can't even get Beyonce to sing a song after paying her $10 million, how's she going to negotiate with any other leaders?
Think of this. How's she going to negotiate with terrorists? Because her number one priority with the terrorists is going to be to not offend them.
She can't negotiate. She can't even negotiate with Beyonce. Hey, I paid you $10 million. Sing a song, you know?
Right. Yeah,
Really?
no, she's got $1 billion. I mean, you could pay her $20 million to play a mini concert. Yeah, that's a good point. But when you say, how is this woman? How could she negotiate with Hamas, Hezbollah, or Iran, or the Taliban? These people think they treat people like her, women, like cattle, and
exactly.
she wants to not offend them. So she'll be using these weird terms, and they'll be like, "I don't even know what you're saying," and she's going to be all about, "I don't want to offend you." I mean,
she'll start laughing.
I see our soldiers and our country and our citizens dying, and her concern while they're dying won't be how to stop it and to kill the bad guys. It'll be how do we not offend people when we come out and say that this happened. What words would she use to describe radical Islamic terrorists? And what will she say? Like when terrorism happens because of all the illegals she's let in, there's tons of terrorists she's let in. When somebody that she let in that slaughters us and kills 50 of us in a day, like one of the Afghanis they let in because they're all unvetted, who was going to kill us all on election day, who's in custody now, how would she describe what the act? I mean, how would she describe them? You know, what would she say? A militant? What? Right. I appreciate your call, Brooke. Thank you very much for Frisco. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. More on how this political correctness, the DEI, is destroying our military recruitment, according to the Wall Street Journal. I'm going to give you some more info on that. It's pretty scary. And veterans, what are you telling your kids and their friends who are thinking about joining? Are you discouraging them because of this insane leftist DEI crap? And how would this kind of focus protect us compared to a Trump presidency? Is this kind of an environment good for recruiting for our military and other protectors? And do you think DEI makes our military and other protectors like the Secret Service, FBI, police stronger or weaker? 800-288-WBAP is our number. Also coming up next, speaking of illegals, Trump is vowing to deport millions. What would it mean for family separations? We have so much on that. And did you hear about all the looters arrested in Florida from the hurricane and how many of them are illegals? It's going to shock the living bejesus out of you. And you're going to want to sit down for this. We've got body cam video of cops arriving on the scene as one of Kamala and Joe's illegals is raping one of our women in the middle of it. That's all coming up. It'll grab you, and you will sit and you will listen in terror and horror. There's a good end to the story, though, I promise. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. All that is coming up next at 9:52 on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. How does DEI affect our military, police, Secret Service, etc.? Does it make us safer or more endangered? Also, for veterans, what are you telling your kids and their friends when they think about joining and recruiting? A lot of conservatives have stopped recommending it. They are now not recommending it. Listen to this from the Wall Street Journal. Chime in right now, by the way. 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Over the past 3 years, Pentagon steadily erected a diversity, equity, inclusion bureaucracy, diversity officers installed throughout the ranks, systematically replacing Colin Powell's colorblind philosophy. The Air Force issued a memo in 2022 setting specific race and sex quotas for officers. 2023, Biden stated diversity was necessary for all successful military operations, ordering DEI to be embedded throughout the ranks. The survey the Journal did, 57% say that diversity is not essential for military success. 94% oppose race and sex preferences and promotions. Only 14% wants DEI in the military. Conservative veterans, much worse. The long-standing support bedrock, they say, for the Army, for the military. Between 2019 and 2024, percentage of conservative veterans who would advise a young family member to join the military declined, my gosh, by 35 points. 35 percentage points. It went from 88% recommending it to 53% advising a young family member to join. It dropped by 35 points. Conservative veterans cited the military's DEI and other social policies as a major factor, 85% of them, in withholding their endorsement, and the possibility of injury or death because of DEI, 33%. The possibility of psychological problems, 27%. The military, they say in this editorial, is heading in the wrong direction, say 90% of conservative veterans. There you go. You're destroying the military for your lie, your diversity, equity, inclusion lie, poison, which is ultimately evil. Coming up next on the Chris Crock Show at News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3 at 10:03. Trump vowing to deport millions. Will it mean family separations? How will that be handled? Illegal crime. Find out how many looters arrested in Hurricane in Florida afterwards for looting were illegals. A woman being, attempted rape on a woman caught on body cam. You're going to hear it. All that coming up next on the illegal invasion from Kamala and Joe and how it's destroying this country at 3 minutes after the hour on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. 800-288-9227 is our number.